There are some places in the world where history has left scars so deep, it feels like time just can't heal them. Places that almost feel alive. Today, we're going to take a trip to three of the world's most disturbing islands, each one with a story that's going to stick with you long after we're done. So here's a chilling thought for you. What if a place could hold onto the pain and trauma of its past? We're about to visit three islands that seem to do exactly that. Each one is a monument to fear, and yeah, each one is strictly off limits. All right, our first stop is near the beautiful canals of Venice, Italy. But we are definitely not going to a tourist spot. Nope, we're heading to a small quarantine island known by a pretty terrifying name, Poveglia, the Island of the Dead. Poveglia's story is just grim. It unfolds over centuries, and it's like a timeline of absolute despair. It all started way back in the Roman era, when it was basically an exile spot for anyone with an infectious disease, a place to be sent and forgotten. But its darkest chapter, by far, was during the Black Death. It became this massive quarantine zone, a dumping ground for over 160,000 plague victims. They were brought here, burned on these giant pyres, or just left to die. And the horror didn't stop. In 1922, a mental asylum was built. The legends from that time are just awful, telling of a doctor who did these cruel experiments on patients. Before, get this, he was supposedly so haunted by their screams that he threw himself from the island's bell tower. And if you're not creeped out yet, consider this fact. It's estimated that 50% of the island's soil is made of human ash and bone. 50%! The sheer scale of death has literally become part of the landscape. This isn't just an island with a dark history, it's an island that is literally made of it. The very ground is a memorial to centuries of suffering. And this history isn't just in the past, it bleeds right into the present. To this day, local fishermen absolutely refuse to cast their nets anywhere near Poveglia. And why? Because more often than not, what they pull up isn't fish, it's the bones of people who died there centuries ago. It's this constant, grim reminder of what's just beneath the waves. Okay, so from mass tragedy, we're going to pivot to a much more personal kind of horror. We're crossing the Atlantic to Mexico's Isla de las Muñecas, where the terror doesn't come from a plague or a war, but from one man's tragic 50-year obsession. Deep in the canals of Xochimilco, there's this island that honestly looks like something from a nightmare. The story starts with one guy, Don Julian Santana, who lived there all by himself. He claimed he found the body of a young girl who had drowned in the canal. Right after that, he became convinced her spirit was haunting him, that he could hear her cries in the wind. So for the next 50 years, he dedicated his life to trying to appease her ghost. He'd collect discarded dolls from the trash, from the canals, and hang them from every single tree as offerings. And the final chilling twist to this whole story, in 2001, Don Julian was found dead, drowned. In the exact same spot, he said he found the little girl. Just think about that for a second. His entire life was consumed by this one single tragic event. Just one man, totally isolated, driven by what he believed was a ghost. And he spent his whole life on this one really eerie mission. And this was the result. An entire island just covered in thousands of decaying, broken dolls. They're hanging from every tree, nailed to every wall. A lot of them are missing their eyes or their limbs, and they're all covered in grime and spider webs. And here's where it gets really creepy. Local legend says that at night, the dolls come alive, that their empty eyes follow you, and that they whisper to each other in the dark. For our final stop, we're going to the most remote place yet. It's a place that, on the surface, looks like a slice of heaven, an uninhabited island right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. But, well, paradise has a dark side. Welcome to Palmyra Atoll. So to really get the mystery of Palmyra, you have to understand just how isolated it is. It's not just an island, it's an atoll. That's this tiny ring of coral and land in the massive, empty Pacific. It's about as far from civilization as you can possibly get, which is probably why its secrets are so well kept, and why the human mind can feel so fragile out there. Despite how beautiful it is, this place has a seriously sinister reputation. For centuries, sailors have talked about a curse, about unexplained shipwrecks and just eerie stuff happening. The most famous incident was the Seawind murders in 1974, where a visiting couple was brutally killed. But it's more than just specific events. People who go there for research, they talk about something else. A strange, heavy sense of dread. of seeing shadows move in their peripheral vision, and this unshakable feeling that they are constantly being watched. And this, right here, speaks to the real terror of Palmyra Atoll. It's not really about ghosts or an old curse. Visitors describe an active, hostile presence in the very air of the island, a malevolence that just presses in on you, that they claim can literally warp your mind and prey on your sanity. Wow, okay, so we visited a graveyard island made of human bone, an obsessive shrine of whispering dolls, and a cursed paradise that seems to attack the mind. Each spot is just steeped in this powerful, terrifying energy that, for good reason, keeps people away. So all this leaves us with a final, chilling question. Is there some real darkness clinging to these places? A memory that's literally embedded in the soil and the trees? Or is it our own minds, when faced with such profound tragedy and isolation, that give these legends the power to haunt us? The stories are real, that's for sure. But the true source of the horror, well, that's still a mystery.